Good morning. Welcome to the webinar, How to Leverage CRM Within Your Contact Centre. Before I hand over to presenters today, I just want to run through some housekeeping. We are actually recording this webinar, so once we've finished it, we'll be sending it out to you within the next few days. Also, any questions you may have along the way, if you could just fill them in the questions panel on the right hand side, and then we will do our best to answer as many questions as we can at the end of the webinar. So before we start, I'd like to introduce you to Jeremy Payne. He's our International VP Marketing Director. We also have with us today John Cray. He's VP for Product Management, which encompasses our contact centre and quality management solutions, and he will talk you through a little bit about that later on. And I would also like to welcome Adrian Boyd from Microsoft, who's kindly agreed to join us today to share his experience around CRM and social engagement. On that note, I'm now going to hand over to Jeremy Payne, who will take you through what your customers are demanding from you today.
Thanks very much, Helen, and thank you to everyone that's joined us on the webinar this morning. We appreciate you've all got busy days, and hopefully the next 45 minutes to an hour will really give you some value as we move on to the next slide. So, as we sort of travel around the world as a business has something like 10,000 different end customers across the globe, and one of the challenges within the next our customer base is that many organizations as organizations struggle with the fact of how do you balance sort of cost and revenue. So one of the things that Enghouse does every year, we survey globally over 2,000 people worldwide, and as we look at the results of those, some fairly striking things come out. Over 96% of the respondents to the survey sort of have said that their end customers, if they're experiencing an issue, won't even contact their contact center or the business to report an issue or a concern. They will just move on and start buying a product from a competitor organization. Allied to that, and our research came out at 86%. But if you looked at, say, Gartner's research, which comes out to 87%, worldwide there's a fairly consistent picture that 86% of customers will stop doing business with your organization if they perceive they're receiving bad customer service. And that's something, I think, if you look back over sort of 10 years, and particularly sort of Brits hate to complain, that sort of paradigm has shifted an awful lot in the last decade. People are a lot more comfortable about complaining and a lot more comfortable about voting with their feet. And if you think about most organizations, most businesses, there's only really 3 points of differentiation. One is that you're a highly innovative organization, so you think a decade ago when Apple brought out the iPhone, really innovative product. You can compete on price, so if you think about Ryanair or EasyJet, you know, they've created some differentiation around the pricing of their offer, or you create differentiation around customer service, and you're thinking about John Lewis and people like First Direct. So one of the things you know, that most organizations have to think about is where they want to sit within those three. And for most companies, price is not a place they want to go to, unless you're sort of a greenfield startup and you can engineer your business with price in mind. It's quite hard to re-engineer an existing business. Most companies aren't that innovative. They're not kind of Apple or Microsoft coming up with really cool new ideas all the time. That really just leaves customer service. So it's kind of ironic, really, that you know, some companies still see customer service as a cost rather than a revenue generator. And one of the things that's interesting is this final statistic: 51% of people will give an organization one time to put things right. And that's what McKinsey kind of call a moment of truth. That's your opportunity as an organization to shine, recognize that if you don't get it right, you're probably going to lose that customer, and then the business has to reinvest all that money in sales and marketing to attract one to replace it. So there are some really powerful statistics there, that drive the fact that you need to do a good job on the customer service front. But for some businesses, that gets worse. If you think about regulation, and if we think about, particularly if we looked at, for example, the utilities industry, one of my favourites is Scottish Power. This was a business that was told by the UK government this time last year, you have to stop your sales operation, do not take on any new customers because your customer service is so poor, it's so bad, we're seeing so many complaints through Ofgem that you need to fix your customer service problem before you start selling or recruiting any new customers. So getting it right can have a profound impact on a business and drive real revenue and growth, and equally getting it wrong can have a financial consequence, not just in terms of new customers, but also from a regulatory perspective as well. So as we look at businesses, that are in that place of pain, what they're typically struggling from is that they've got complicated systems, they've got people that don't know, their own staff don't really know how to navigate systems, they don't have a single view of their customer, they don't know what the customer's trying to achieve, and that ultimately creates an ineffective response and a disjointed customer experience. And I think probably most people on this session today have experienced that feeling of arriving at an IVR, typing in your 16-digit credit card number to help identify you, only to be put through to a customer service agent who asks your name and your postcode. So things like that kind of create a frustration. And it's not surprising, because if you think about the typical working day of most people today receive 56 interruptions a day. And if you think about yourself, you've got work email, you've got personal email, you've got Facebook, you've got message, you may have WhatsApp. You've got a proliferation of channels coming into you, feeding you information and interactions. And they're all the virtual ones. That's forgetting kind of the real world ones of, somebody actually phoning you or somebody walking up to your desk. And what that means is most people today are kind of working in 3-minute sprints. So most people don't work continuously on a single thing for more than 3 minutes before one of those 56 interruptions happens. So stop for a second now and think about how much time one of your customers is prepared to invest in you solving their problems. And the chances are, if they're used to working in 3-minute sprints or bursts, they're probably not going to want to invest more than 3 minutes dealing with the customer service of your organization. So there's another massive change there in terms of the consumer landscape. Not only are people far more willing to vote with their feet and leave you, they're far more willing to complain, they're far more willing to go on social media and tell everyone about it, and they also want things done in an increasingly rapid time. So what do the customers really want? Well, customers are really looking for an effortless customer experience. They want their answer, they want it as quickly as possible, and they want to invest the least amount of time and effort themselves to achieve that end result. So if you think about yourself buying something on Amazon right now, look at the automation and the power of the technology that's going on in the background there. Amazon knows instantly who you are, they know what you've bought previously, they know what customers like you that bought products like you've just bought, what they also bought. So they have a kind of upsell engine of customers who bought this also like this. So, and they've also got all of the payment processing piece in terms of their back-end systems of ERP and supply chain all set up. So from typing in a couple of words in a search box, with one click you can have bought that, and that can be being shipped to your default address. So in terms of creating an effortless experience, they've done a pretty good job of doing that and doing it in an automated way. And so the key there is thinking about how do you do that within your business. And it's important to think about channels. So these days there's been a proliferation of channels, and it's only ever going to grow. And different customers have different preferences and expectations around a channel. One of the things that's important to bear in mind here is that it's not a given that just by offering consumers more channels and letting the consumer decide which channel is the channel they prefer is the right answer. So anecdotally, I can't share the name of the company, but we worked with one of the UK's, well, they're arguably one of the world's largest mobile telephone operators, and they decided to just offer all channels to all customers and let the customer decide which way they want to solve their problem. And what they actually achieved was a higher cost of service, increased sort of dissatisfaction within their customer base, and a loss of loyalty. And the reason for that was customers were picking the wrong channels to solve their problem, which meant they were having to switch and toggle from one channel to the other to get to the end point of where they were trying to get to. So when you go back to that kind of Amazon scenario, the effortless customer scenario, the 3-minute window, what customers really, really prize above all else is getting from A to B as quickly as possible. So with that said, you know, it's fine getting from A to B, but they really want their problem solved. So it's cool that if you've got a process that leads somebody down the road, but if it doesn't ultimately solve their problem, and then they've got to reinvest time, or they've got to wait for you to come back to them at a point that's convenient for you, you know, that may not be the answer that that customer's looking for. So they want the effortless customer service, and they want it sorted first time. Also worth thinking about customer journeys. So as you think about the optimized customer journey, unfortunately, it isn't a one-size-fits-all. So for example, if you said, this is somebody phoning into our organization to open up a new credit card account, for one type of customer segment, that's going to mean, you know, going through a self-service digital channel. For another type of segment, it may well be picking up a phone, because for that person, you know, you're dealing with money, you're dealing with personal information, there's a lot of questions. They want the reassurance of speaking to a human that that's right. So when you start to map those optimal journeys, not only do you need to triangulate what is the optimum, fastest, effortless way to get the customer from point A to B and resolve their inquiry, but you need to also micro-segment it based on, you know, the age or the demographic or the preferences that that customer has offered out to you. And this can be pretty stressful. And so when I look at this graph, before I got into software, I used to look a bit like the guy on the right, and sadly 20 years later I now look like the guy on the left. So as we spin on to the next slide, what you're really trying to do to achieve this customer service is, this sounds really obvious, but you will be amazed at how many people struggle with this. You need to know who your customer are. You need to know who they are, and you need to know what they're trying to do. And then you need to be able to make a decision based on that in terms of what information, what resources, what people do I have available right now in my business that can help this customer solve this problem. And the customer segmentation may be based on, you know, customer value, how many years they've been a customer, their propensity to spend more money with you. It can be based on social demographics. That's something you need to sort of make a decision for yourself in your experience strategy. What are they trying to do? What's the optimum channel? If they're just looking to do a balance lookup on their bank account, that's probably going to be better pushed through a self-service channel than burning up expensive human resource time solving that problem. And then look at the resources you have. And one of the big shifts that we see within the businesses that we work with is quite often, if more and more of the easy stuff is getting solved through the smartphone through a self-service channel, what's left that's actually coming into the business through a voice channel is typically quite a complex problem, because the customer will have already tried to solve that problem themselves through a self-service channel or by looking into a knowledge management system or your web page FAQs. They won't have been able to solve it there, and as a last point of resort, they've come to phone you. So quite often the person that's best placed to solve that problem is not sat in the front end of your business in the contact center. They may well be sat in the middle of the back office, and that's where some of the really cool tools that Microsoft has around their Skype for Business platform, around presence and Active Directory, knowing who you have in your business and who's available and what systems they have access to, can start to help you make those intelligent decisions. As we spin on to the next slide, we commission every year a piece of research globally about where the contact center industry is going, and this year's report, this isn't out in the public domain yet, it will come out probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks, but it's been commissioned by us and conducted by Ventana Research, who are a specialist research consultancy with a lot of pedigree and experience in the contact center space. Just headlines to share with you. The key findings are that Most companies are now interacting through more and more channels, no big surprise there. The typical number of channels is 8. Digital channels are growing faster, again, no massive surprise there, but for most of the businesses that we spoke to, voice is still number 1. So really important to think about the people that you've got working there. A large majority of the companies that we spoke to are wrestling with how you create this omni-channel experience. If a customer starts an interaction with you through a digital channel, starts to hit a speed bump and then defaults back to speaking to you on the phone, they don't expect to have to repeat all the information or all the details that they've just typed into a web page. They expect you to have access to that information in real time and pick up the customer journey at the point they were, not kind of go back to square one and start again. And one of the other key takings is leveraging your CRM to drive that real-time 360-degree view of your customer is key. And the good news is Adrian's got some really interesting stuff to talk about on that front. So finally, if we were trying to sort of visualize this challenge, you've got a whole range of different consumers with different demographics on the left-hand side. They're interacting with you through a whole range of channels. Those channels are growing kind of by the year, so probably in 2 or 3 years' time we'll be talking about 10, 12 channels available. They're looking to solve a range of issues, so the piece in the middle. They might be phoning up, they might be trying to do a balance lookup, they might be phoning up to say the product they ordered is not as it was described or it's damaged, whole range of things that's going on. And you, as the organization on the right-hand side, have got access to a whole range of support systems, whether it's your supply chain management, your ERP, your accounting system, whether it's your Salesforce automation, your logistics of what parcels got shipped where. And key to that really is CRM. So as a sort of football analogy, the CRM system is that central midfielder. It's in the middle of the pitch, coordinating what you know about the customer, both the historical and real time, and what access you have to, or a gateway to all the other systems that you have available. So with that said, I'm now going to hand over to Helen, and she's going to ask you a question.
Well, thank you very much, Jeremy. I thought that was some excellent insight there. Right, I'm just going to do a quick poll question. Do you view creating a good customer experience as a cost or a revenue generator? And we'll just give you a couple of minutes to answer that. So the results have just come in for that. And at the moment it looks like 13% see it as a cost, with a massive 88% as a revenue generator. So I'm going to open that up to the floor. Jeremy, what are your views on that?
I think it's consistent. So what we do see when we deal with organizations is people that work in the customer service industry, which I would guess a fairly high proportion of the profile of the audience on this webinar are in that space, inevitably see sort of customer service as key to driving revenue within the business. Whereas equally, when you quite often speak to other functions, particularly sort of finance or some of the operational side of things, they see it more as a cost, and that's a challenge. So I think it does vary depending on which constituency within an organisation you're talking to.
Thanks very much, Jeremy, for that. Right, I'm now going to hand over to Adrian, who will take us through the CRM side of things and also a little bit around social engagement.
That's great. Thanks, Helen. So my name is Adrian Boyd, and I'm a partner tech strategist at Microsoft, specifically in the CRM online sector. So I'm here to help talk about CRM and how it fits in with contact center, but very much specifically around the customer service element as well. So first slide, which I'm going to start with here. So if we ask each of you who your digital customer is, we get a lot of different answers from you. The person who's buying a new car or a new house is going to differ from someone buying their weekly shopping from the supermarket. And there's a consistency, though, that's representative of the urgency that we all see in today's society, whether we like it or not, about getting stuff done, expecting information to be available pretty much instantly. And where trust in brands is a different thing altogether. Okay, so what? And why are you showing me pictures of birds here? So the pictures I've got here are the finches that Darwin brought back from his voyage of the Beagle 150 years ago, whose physical traits, namely their beaks, adapted to thrive in changing environments. And it's Charles Darwin in The Origin of Species who said it's not the strongest or the fastest of the species that survives, but the most adaptable. And we can all think of the businesses who were leaders in their markets and plenty who weren't leaders who just aren't here anymore. So the likes of Novell, Netscape, Digital, Sun Microsystems, and even close at home on our high streets, the likes of, say, Woolworths and VHS. And why? Because they didn't adapt to the new dimensions that we've seen on the previous slide about the changing markets, the changing customer environment. So thanks for joining me today on this. So I'm going to give you an overview of how customer engagement continues to change, why customer experience matters, what this means to companies and how they interact with customers. And then I'll give you an overview of the Microsoft Dynamics CRM customer engagement capabilities that can really help companies like yourself deliver great customer experiences. So let's get started with an overview of customer engagement, how it's evolving, and why customer experience is so important. So customer behavior has forever changed. So it creates both challenges and new opportunities for how companies think about engaging their customers. So everyone's mobile, everyone's social. People trust opinions from their friends and peers a lot more than they trust brands nowadays. So expectations around customer service continue to rise. In fact, according to the 2015 Global State of Multi-Channel Service Report, 60% of consumers have higher expectations for customer service than they had just 1 year ago. And 62% of global consumers have stopped doing business with a brand due to poor customer service experience. And now it's even easier than ever to switch to a competitor. So you've got 86% of consumers now willing to pay more for a better customer experience. It's a whole new world where the customer has control. But in this new world of the connected customer, now everything is increasingly connected. So IHS predicts that there will be 80 billion connected Internet of Things devices in operation by 2025. And this is the speculation as to why SoftBank paid $10 billion over the market value for ARM this week, which you probably noticed in the press. Not so much because they're after their current processor market, but the expected explosion of IoT devices where ARM's going to be a market leader. So this provides amazing new opportunities for companies to rethink not only their approach to customer engagement, it enables them to rethink their business models and create new revenue streams. So creating a compelling customer's experience is critical to any company's business strategy. So by 2020, customer experience will overtake price and product as the key brand differentiator according to the Walker 2020 Customers Report. So as I mentioned, creating compelling personalized experiences for your customers is at the heart of intelligent customer engagement, and it will differentiate your brand. Customer engagement is about building a relationship with customers over time, not just a collection of single transactions. So there are multiple dimensions we consider when we think about customer engagement. Customers expect to be able to engage at any time on their channel of choice, whether it's on the web, social, email, phone, or in person. Your company needs to be wherever your customers are, wherever they need you. Microsoft enables companies to power these types of omni-channel experiences. Customers don't really care if they're talking to someone in sales, service, or marketing. They want you to know who they are and their history with your company. They expect a personalized experience in the context of how they choose to engage. Microsoft provides this 360-degree view of all customer interactions to deliver personalized, contextual interactions, regardless of how or when the customer chooses to connect with the company. So ultimately, customers want quick resolution, whether it's learning more about a product, making a purchase, or resolving a problem, and they want it to be easy. 91% of customers will remain loyal to brands who offer low-effort interactions, and we enable companies to create those effortless, outcome-driven experiences for customers across channels. So let me give you a recent personal example in my own perspective from this customer service in action. So recently, my Brabantia kitchen bin lid broke after 7 years. You know, it's quite expensive at the time, one of the premium brands, and I assume I'm going to have to go out and buy a new one or end up waiting until the next working day to be able to call them, spend some time on the phone, send the lid back to maybe receive a replacement in a couple of weeks. The actual experience was when I went on their website, it told me it had a 10-year guarantee. I can click through via a link to their online store straight away where a replacement will be couriered out to me within 48 hours. So low touch, fast resolution, and a great experience on my behalf, where I will now be, I will always buy and recommend their brand, specifically because of this low touch, fast resolution on their behalf for self-service, and on my behalf from getting a resolution instantly without having to jump through a load of hoops. So if we look at the customer engagement solutions here, so we offer a portfolio of customer engagement solutions with Dynamics CRM online that can help companies develop long-lasting relationship with customers through that personalized, proactive and predictive experience. So the portfolio consists of the following. So we have the selling effectively sales through CRM. So we provide a complete and intuitive Salesforce automation solution that helps salespeople be more productive so they are freed up to focus on what's most important, delivering amazing customer experiences. So with essential insight, guidance and tools, salespeople can stay focused on the right customers and priorities, win faster by collaborating with colleagues to harness the power of the entire organization, and build those trusted relationships with customers through personalized and relevant engagements. Then we have the service element with CRM via the Care Everywhere. So we can help companies build brand advocacy and earn customer loyalty by providing customers with exceptional customer service across all channels and for all service types as well. So you've got self-assisted and field service. Dynamics CRM also empowers a company's agents to provide service on any channel and provide a comprehensive set of intuitive tools, knowledge and customer insight to help deliver great customer service. And then we have marketing element. So again, marketing through CRM is an integrated marketing management solution for operations, planning and execution and analytics across all channels, be it email, digital, social, SMS and traditional methods. So companies can engage customers one-to-one across channels, build their sales pipeline and demonstrate the impact of marketing investments in real time. And going across all these channels is Microsoft Social Engagement. So this enables companies to monitor what's being said about their brand, products or services across a variety of channels, analyzing sentiment and driving customer engagement. So Microsoft Social Engagement is integrated with sales, service and marketing, providing contextual social insights for all relevant line of business people, not just a few designated social monitoring people in marketing. So a great example of customer service through empowering employees by using Microsoft is Metro Bank. So the question I always ask is, how would you compete if Apple decides to move into your field? Or a new disruptive startup like Airbnb or Uber comes out, for instance? Do you have that customer loyalty currently to survive and thrive in your industry? So Metro Bank are the first retail bank in the City of London in over 100 years and have basically redefined what customer service means in that industry, whether it's by opening at weekends and evenings, being dog-friendly and other customer-first initiatives. By leveraging the Microsoft Cloud technologies, they've managed to increase customer face time by 15% and achieving phenomenal market growth of 100% year on year. And you'll see the other banks are actually playing catch up and mimicking an awful lot of what they actually do in the marketplace. So why customer engagement by Microsoft? Essentially, we have four pillars that kind of underpin this. So Dynamics CRM offers a differentiated solution around customer engagement, around guidance, intelligence, mobility, and a one Microsoft approach that really sets us apart from any other competition that's out there. So something like guidance, for instance, we deliver a user experience with embedded processes that really help guide line of business users to achieve optimal outcomes based on best practices in sales, services, and marketing. This can be fully customized to your company's best practice, not Microsoft's idea of what your process should be. You don't have to shoehorn into what our software says you should actually run your sales org. You define it your steps yourself. The intelligence, we enable our customers to deliver a personalized, proactive and predictive customer experience with CRM scenarios that leverage your data with advanced analytics and operational analytics also. The mobility element, we enable our customers' line of business users to manage tasks and do work anytime, anywhere with mobile apps that are user-friendly and also available online or offline as well. And we support not only the Windows Phone as you'd expect, but iOS and Android too. So it's very much about empowering the user to be able to choose whatever device they use from any location that they wish to as well. We don't try and be proprietary and say you have to use our devices in the way we choose to. And again, one Microsoft, our customers can harness the breadth of Microsoft technologies to really complement and enhance each other as well. So this includes CRM, Office 365, the Azure platform, and also Power BI as well to really deliver exceptional customer experiences. So in the time I have, I'm going to show you a couple of areas of interest from these pillars. So Microsoft integration and Microsoft social engagement and how that will help tie into your customer engagement strategy. So here's a screenshot here of CRM in action, and you can choose what elements show up and how they show up as well and display on the screen. So let's look at how the interaction works together to surface all the information a customer agent would need to deliver a really prime customer experience And in this case, where a customer has emailed in with an issue around a 3D printer. You'll notice at the top in the box that I've just opened up, so this shows the guided business process workflow in action that I mentioned earlier. So this ensures that a company's best practice and sales process or even the service practice is being followed, and shortcuts can't be taken. They have to follow the service elements that the customer has laid down. If you notice in the central panel here, this shows all the interaction the company has had historically with that customer, whether it's via email, phone calls, or social interactions. The agent's got that 360-degree view and the history that they can adapt and adjust their conversations accordingly. You notice on the right-hand side here, this is where the knowledge base panel pops up, and it's also adapting to natural language queries to bring up the resolution, where the agent's typed in saying need help with 3D printer issues, and then it will automatically bring up all the various issues that it has around being able to solve that resolution that you can then just right-click on and either email directly out or cut and paste into whatever channel you wish to engage the customer with. And then finally on this screen, you'll notice in the top left-hand corner, you'll see that our Skype for Business is integrated so the customer can be contacted directly from within the application. Again, no having to switch out, move into other applications. So again, you have this single pane of glass view of your customer, their history, the resolution, all sitting there. I can also drill down into individual contacts also. So where I can click on, here we have Maria Campbell as an example, and I can click on her phone number to contact her directly using Skype for Business, and you'll see the Skype for Business app pop up in the center there. And again, I'm not losing productivity by needing to switch applications, which is a huge time sink for any person in an organization. So this is only a small example of harnessing Microsoft products such as Office 365 and Dynamics CRM Online together. So let me move on to show you social engagement. So engagement is included within our CRM Online platform. But again, so why even care about social media? And the reason is because consumers are rejecting traditional channels in favor of more agile emerging channels. So as a good example of this is over in America, for instance, going after that all-important 18 to 34 demographic of in the US, Snapchat has 41% of views within that marketplace. The traditional big six TV channels over there, the primetime TV channels, only get 6% of that audience. So it's a completely different method of basically how you reach your targeted audience. It's very different from how it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. So again, being ahead of the competition and actually enabling the new channels can really work to give your company a heads up over the competition and drive that business. So how's this going to enable me to do it better? So again, within social media, it can allow you to do things like track your competitions. You can monitor your competitors across all social feeds, not just necessarily what they're tweeting about, but also what their customers are talking about as well, what's being retweeted, what's being re-forwarded on across there as well. So this will help you identify market trends as well. So again, you can monitor your target market, the vertical that you're going after with a marketing campaign, for instance, and really allow you to hone in that marketing. So that's good from a sales perspective. But then again, you've also got this great customer service benefit across social media as well. So the social customer service element of basically being able to provide that enhanced customer service via any channel with your customers, however you particularly choose to as well, really helps you to manage those issues before they arise. And again, understanding your customers about what their sentiment is, how happy are they, what's their dissat level, what are they unhappy about, really can help you from a customer service to kind of manage your brand and the services you offer from within there. And again, drilling down into those themes of sales and service, for instance, this enables you to track your customers so you can see what your customers are up to from monitoring your customers through social profiling and segmentation. And this allows you to use really targeted upsell and cross-sell opportunities, specifically targeted to them about what they're talking about on social media. Helps you identify new customers as well by using those social analytics to really drive the right type of customer that you want in your business, who you want to sell to. The high value targets, as it were. And around the marketing as well, really helps for efficient marketing rather than a throw mud against the wall and see what sticks approach. You can really monitor the target market, use that sentiment analysis, and really target who those customers are that you want in your business. So if I start to just show you a couple of things about social engagement that we have here. So this is how we see a tweet generally. So it comes out and this is the format of it. You tend to read the content. You might look at a couple of stats around it, around retweets and favorites and so on, but you tend to move on from there. Well, this is how Microsoft Social Engagement sees a tweet on here. So this is only a snapshot of some of the properties and hidden metadata behind a Twitter social media post. I've highlighted some of the more popular looked at properties that many analytics and social tools see and pick up from here. So from a marketing and communication team's point of view and angle, you can kind of see how beneficial and helpful all this can be if all this information is being captured in one central database that can then be mined and analyzed and brought out. So if I show you, this is a screenshot of social engagement in action here. So this is a live example that I pulled out last week. And this is basically tracking Microsoft search terms that I have. So this is picking up search terms around Surface, HoloLens, Microsoft Band, and some other Microsoft products that I have. So this is the overview dashboard, and it's going to show you activity levels, sentiment, location heat map in the bottom left-hand corner, so you can see the location of this, even the quantity of different sources, which you'll see at the bottom there. And you'll notice that the navigation bar here, although this is just the overview dashboard, I can drill down into conversation, sentiment, location, and sources further. So let me look into a couple of those in greater detail. So I've moved now onto the conversations page that you see here, and this is allowing me to track conversations. You can see the phrasing map in the center there, showing popular keywords and phrases over the last month that we have. So I can drill down into any element on this dashboard by clicking on it as well, whether it's one of those single words, whether it's one of the sentiments on the top left-hand side, whether it's a source, whatever it may be, and the view will dynamically change around that as well. If you'll notice at the top here, I've got the date ranges currently for the last month, but maybe I want to kind of change that to the last day just to see what's trending and be able to react to it. So again, I've changed that now to the last day, so the last 24 hours. You'll notice in the center how the phrases have changed. So it's throwing up some new keywords and some new phrases that actually I'd quite like to investigate and see why this is trending and see what I can do around this. So you'll notice on the right-hand side here, under the trending phrases box, so this is the phrases that weren't really showing up before over the last month or so, but actually have just started trending over the last 24, 48 hours. You'll notice this is showing, for instance, Pokemon Awesome looks freaking incredible. So okay, that's quite interesting. So these are showing up under the Microsoft feed. You'll notice above that, we've got a timeline of phrases history. And this is showing me that there's a spike for those words of Pokemon Microsoft there, and HoloLens, at about 2 p.m. Over the last 24 hours. So it looks like something's happened around potentially a demo of Pokemon Go on HoloLens, but actually I want to drill down because I want to find out more about what's actually happened here on this particular day. So when I click on this, I can actually drill down into all the individual posts that have been said on social media around this topic. So what you'll notice here, I can switch to this feed and get an understanding of what's been said. So if you notice this tweet in the middle here, specifically talks about a HoloLens demo of Pokemon Go and how great it was, and I could use this to my benefit to react instantly through any channel I choose, so it might be a great marketing opportunity for me to push out through more traditional channels that other people see. It could be a sales opportunity that then I can automatically kick off to my sales team to follow up on, or it could be a customer service opportunity as well that I can then use and react to as well. So that's showing the actual post itself, which I can drill down on. But what you might want to be of interest is if you notice the smiley face that we have here across any of these posts. So this goes beyond just monitoring social posts. Microsoft Social Engagement will also analyze posts for sentiment and intent as well, and will show a representation of positive, neutral, or negative to help react to any of those signals, be it buying signals, be it service signals as well. So it uses Azure machine learning, so artificial intelligence if you will, to look for keywords, phrases to score. It will even pick up sarcasm in grammar as well, which can then be routed to customer service queue for remediation if it's negative, or again, if it's a request for information, it could be routed through to the service, or it could be routed to a sales queue if it's a buying signal automatically. We've also got support for 19 languages natively, so you don't get any translation issues where if a post is in French, that our back-end engine will have to translate it into English to pop up for us, and then translate it back to French where you can get some translation issues. So we have native sentiment and analysis across almost any language of those 19 languages. However, if you don't happen to agree with that sentiment, and you think, well, actually, I don't consider that a positive statement. I consider it more of, say, a neutral one, and that could be around maybe a specific industry terminology that we haven't picked up on yet, but actually you work in pretty closely. Then you can click on that face, and it will come up there where you can change it. So you can change that sentiment value and change it to, say, neutral or negative, for instance. And that, what you're doing is you're actually telling the system, so our cognitive services on the back end, our machine learning, to evaluate this post and its content as neutral from now on. And our machine learning will now incorporate your changes into our sentiment analysis moving forward for your tenant. So next time a similar post shows up using similar language or similar properties, it will then mark it as neutral from there on in. So again, incredibly smart. Rather than just showing you social posts, it will actually action them as well and actually give you some real deep insights as to why people are posting this on social media. So if I drill down a little further into sentiment here on the sentiment dashboard, you can see on the left-hand side here, for instance, you've got all the information you could possibly want, again, using that sentiment analysis across all those posts. But I can drill further into this, and if you'll see down here on the left-hand side, we've got, for instance, various feeds, including who your top fans are and who your top critics are, and across what channel they're using to engage and talk about you and your business with, for instance. So this can be interestingly used as well. So you could look at your top fans, for instance, and say, right, we're going to do a roundtable on a new product we're going to launch or some new marketing campaign. So we'll invite those guys into our business and see what they have to say around this. But conversely, again, you've got your top critics. Now, again, it might be constructive criticism, it might be valid, but a lot of the cases you'll find it could just be persistent trolls. So in this case, and I know companies, again, who do this, they will basically just take that list and they will just send it off to Twitter to say, ban these guys from our Twitter feed, for instance. So again, you don't have them constantly causing issues around your own social presence as well. And if we move on here finally to the location elements as well. So again, if you want to find out where the location of the social interactions happening with you, your customers, for instance, or who you're looking to target, then we have this. So this, you can now see where the social posts are being sent from and react accordingly. So let's take this, for instance. You can see in the center there, I've got this map showing of all the sources and sentiment and where they're actually showing up, kind of a heat map, as it were. But let's say, actually, I want something that's constantly changing, constantly evolving, that I want to throw up on a screen in my customer service center. So again, I want to create a map that's going to show them as and when it happens, so I can react pretty much instantly to protect my brand. So what I can do here from within social engagement, you'll see, is I can create an activity map on the top left-hand corner. I'm just going to call it a negative sentiment map that you can see there. And in the center, you'll see that I've got various choices that I can actually filter on to create this map as well. So you can look at source, you can look at location, you can look at intent and various other tags and so on. But here I'm just going to do a very simple sentiment analysis. So I'm going to say, right, all I'm interested in is showing up negative sentiment about my brand on a map. What this will do pretty much instantly is it will take all those social media posts, it will now just show a map here, which you can see, a negative sentiment map, which is a heat map, a buzz map, so it's going to constantly, every time social media posts are coming up, it will be incorporated into this map in real time. So I'm now presented with this worldwide heat map, and one that's dynamically changing as when social posts are coming in. And as it's using Bing Maps, I can actually zoom into any area I wish. So for instance, I'm going to move into Britain here, as you can see, and now I can actually see where some of the negative sentiment's coming from. So what I'll do is I'll zoom into the dot that you can see in East Anglia on the right-hand side, which happens to be in Bury St Edmunds. And again, dynamically zooming in, it will now show up, and it will even go right down to street level, so I can actually see exactly where that poster is actually coming from. So what I can do is on the right-hand side, click on the dot, and it will actually bring up the post on the right-hand side. And I can see actually here someone's a bit unhappy that their Microsoft band strap is faulty and it's broken, but I can reach out to that person and reply instantly via Twitter back to them to offer apologies and remediation, all within minutes of the original post. So this not only creates a great experience for the poster, but really helps me garner brand loyalty and potentially triaging any ill effects of an unhappy post going viral because I didn't spot it and suddenly I have to react to a much bigger problem in 48 hours, for instance. So my final slide here, which I'm just going to show, is how some people are using social engagement in real life. So this happens to be an example of a customer service center in New York City. So what's quite interesting here is, again, this can complement the more standard screens you may have of, phone stats, how long it takes you to answer them, how many calls waiting, and so on. But actually, rather than just kind of being reactive, these guys have just got 8 screens showing social engagement and the different aspects of it to kind of show, okay, what's happening in real time, what do we need to react to from here. So this just shows it's no longer necessarily about, phone response times and operational stats. It's about responding to the world as we see it in real time with your brand, again, to either increase sales through buying signals or just from a customer service perspective as well. So great, thank you very much for your time. Again, we'll have some information afterwards about how you can find out more about CRM, either as a partner or as a potential customer. But I'd just like to pass you over now to back to Helen for the rest of the presentation.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Adrian. I think that demonstrated how CRM is a single source of truth to manage those customer engagements. We'll just take another quick poll here. Do you currently use CRM within your contact center? So yes, our CRM is already integrated into the contact center. Yes, but it's not integrated into the contact center. No, but we plan to look at CRM in the future. Or no, we don't have plans to use CRM within the contact center. I'll just give you a minute or so to answer that. So an interesting result there. Only 21% of you have CRM integrated into your contact center, with 29% using CRM but not integrated. 38% at the moment are planning to roll it out within the future, with only 13% don't have any plans to use CRM at the moment. So I would like to hand that over to John. What's your view on that? What are you seeing in the marketplace, John, with our, contact center? Are you seeing a trend towards integration within CRM?
Hi, Helen. Hi, everybody. Thanks for the question. Yeah. So this is John Cray. I run the product management team for Enghouse Contact Center products. We determine the strategy and feature set for the products. Yeah, it's a very interesting mix. I think we're seeing a trend where more and more people are recognizing the value of integrating interaction management to CRM, and there's a lot of key touch points there we'll go into in just a second. But I think we're seeing kind of a interesting mix of people who are some are doing that probably at a deeper level than others. And that represents what we're seeing in the market as well. I think it sometimes is a later phase thing. I think everybody manages customer data at some level, but the actual integration of that into how your agents and customer service people interact with customers in terms of workflow and real integration, I think often comes later in the process of implementing great customer service. So what I'll do, we don't have a lot of time left. We're kind of reaching the top of the hour here, but I'll kind of show you a quick scenario of where you can kind of see how a real customer service center might leverage interaction management and CRM together. Okay, so we've got an agent here in the contact center, Mark. You can see on the screen Mark is handling different kinds of interactions, and Adrian showed us how dynamics can really tap into social media. If you can then integrate those social media interactions along with other channels of communication into a single universal queue, you can prioritize, right? So that agent there, Mark, is able to see when he logs in the morning, he's able to see all those interactions coming into queue, and he can have them in order of importance. So you might have a tweet from a really, really strategically important customer that you want to prioritize over even, say, a chat from a less important customer. It's possible, and being able to set up those business rules so you can work on what makes sense at the time offers you value. but let's say something else happens. Let's say while Mark is working on what we might call non-live interactions like social media posts or emails, he gets a high priority call. And here the mobility thing comes into play, right? We've got a customer, in this case Laura, she got a text message. In healthcare, maybe that was an appointment reminder. In retail, maybe that was a notification of a product delivery. In customer service, may something change status. A utility, maybe there was an outage in the area. There are a lot of reasons to use that proactive notification. And then Laura has an issue, and with a single click, she wants to talk to somebody. So she goes into queue, and then once she's in queue, she can get a call back from Mark. And in this case, we know Mark and Laura have a personal relationship. Now, Mark spoke to Laura the last time she interacted with the customer service organization. And then as Adrian showed us too, we've got that beautiful desktop where Mark can see everything going on at once. He's got that history of Laura's interactions. He's got the ability to drill down to transcripts. He's got a knowledge base. He's got all that information at his fingertips. But what can we do while Mark is on the phone with Laura? We can actually monitor the conversation. We can listen in. We can say, is Mark staying on script? Has he offered Laura the offer of the day? Is he interrupting Laura? Is Laura getting upset? Is Mark speaking clearly enough? We can analyze the speech, keep Mark on task. Now we're combining interaction management capabilities with CRM in a single desktop. And then, if Mark needs help, he can alert his supervisor. His supervisor can be mobile. She can listen in via a Bluetooth headset, for example, off a tablet, using Skype for Business, and then connect in with Mark and help him, if needed. And once that's done, he can go back to those other interactions, handling those, and he's continuously busy. So the key here is that universal queue allows Mark to be busy, as busy as he needs to be through the day. And then lastly, of course, we can quality manage Mark, based on, his interactions. His supervisor can evaluate him, the speech analytics can evaluate him, and we can make him better in the future. So we saw this kind of workflow, right? We saw where we had this end where it started with a notification, it went through a process of Mark being very efficient on the desktop, and then it ended with us populating CRM with information about what happened. And the whole thing had multiple touch points. I mean, as we said, there's a lot of different vertical markets where this workflow applies, but the whole thing had multiple touch points where we were able to work through a mobile application. In this case, we're looking at financial services application on a mobile. We're able to go into queue. Then based on that, we were able to use a very, very efficient desktop where Mark could, go back and forth with the customer using multiple forms of communication, stay on script with speech analytics, and then lastly, see all the metrics. And this can combine metrics from interaction management with CRM metrics all together in a single desktop so that we can see kind of everything all tied together in one view. So the key touch points here with CRM and interaction management were, whenever something happens in CRM, we can notify the customer. Whenever something comes into CRM or a live interaction occurs in the center, we can put it into a universal queue. Whenever we have good information for the agent, we can put it together in a nice visual way for that agent to be productive. And then whenever the agent does something, we can populate that back into CRM in order to make sure that we're keeping track of everything that we did with that customer. So the value really is tie interaction management to CRM so it's all working together in one coherent, consistent system. So with that, I'll send it back to Helen.
Thanks, John, for that. As we're running out of time, I'm going to quickly hand back to Jeremy, who will just finish off.
With that said, I'm going to skip through now to what I would say are the top 5 takeaways from the sessions that we've seen today. So I think what we're seeing both from some of the content I went through and also Adrian's content is that customers are increasingly digitally savvy. They have a lot of capability and competence to self-serve if you provide them with the right tools to do that. And that can be phenomenal for companies in terms of making a cost saving. The big mistake here is to pocket that cost saving. You need to reinvest that to bring some of the people in the middle and back offices of your business nearer the front to allow and enable them to solve some of those complex queries. One of the other things to think about is the customer journeys. So we looked at how you map those customer journeys in the way to provide that effortless, seamless customer service, but you need to do that based on the customer preference and the segmentation alongside what are they trying to do. And then triangulate that with who and what you have available within your business, either in knowledge management systems, human resources, or data within your CRM or other systems that can help rapidly solve that customer's problem. One of the elements of that is leveraging things that are within the Microsoft portfolio, which are things like presence. So knowing who within your business is available online right now, who can help. And that's all part of driving that effortless experience. So we've talked and looked at CRM working hand in glove with your customer interaction management platform, and I think when we looked at the results of the poll, and I think people were very candid there, that does paint a picture that we see almost universally across customers that we walk into, in that, as John said, most customers are tracking and managing customer data in some way, shape or form. What they haven't done is really feed that into the customer interaction and customer journey to optimize the interaction and speed that effortless customer service. By doing that, you will achieve some real gains in terms of loyalties and potentially a cost saving. And finally, just to cap on, most of the organizations that we walk into do have most of the systems and most of the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. They've made most of the investments already. What they haven't done is really do that piece around mapping the optimal journeys and joining the systems up to align them to those optimized journeys. So with that said, we're going to sort of just spin forward. Obviously Enghouse and Microsoft have a long history of working together. Whilst everyone in the world, I think, has heard of Microsoft from the day they switched on their first computer, some of you are existing customers aware of Enghouse, some of you less so. Just a real quick slide to say we work with some of the world's major organizations, and we work very closely hand in glove with Microsoft. But we are a channel-driven business, so we work with some of the UK and the world's leading partner organizations, which may be why you may not have heard of us so much. So as we spin forward to the end here, there's a lot of great information, people that we've worked with, but a lot of content that we've referenced in the deck today that we'll make available afterwards in terms of research and reports that we've commissioned that we think might be relevant. And finally, you've been incredibly patient with us today. You've given up what turns out to be more than an hour of your time. So what we'd like to do for the people that are on the webinar, and this is literally only for the people that are on the webinar, we're not going to market this outside of this, is we're offering 5 free operational walkthroughs. So these are for either Microsoft consultants or Enghouse consultants or both. They'll come to your business, take a look at what you're doing, what systems you've got, what problem you're trying to solve, and we'll provide back to you an executive summary of the best way and the baby steps you need to take to address that. We've had to limit it to 5 because these guys are pretty busy and they do blow out at a fairly expensive normal day rate. But it is available to the first 5 people that make contact with Helen. If you just provide your details, what systems you already have in place and what issue you're trying to address, we'll then come back to you and try and set up a session where we can do that walkthrough. So with that said, in matter of time, I know we haven't had a chance to really go through the Q&A, but I suspect some of you are starting to think about lunch now. So if you've got questions, ping them to us. Again, use Helen's email address, and we'll come back to you, fairly rapidly in the next 24 hours with answers to that. And all that's really left to be said is thank you for giving up your time today to spend it with us on the webinar. We hope it was of benefit and use to you. Thank you.